Welcome to another edition of the Litigation Psychology Podcast. Dr. Bill Kanasky. This podcast is brought to you by Courtroom Sciences. Go to courtroomsciences.com. Local time, 4 a.m. Here we go again. It's the only time I have in my day to record these. So yes, I look terrible. Voice a little off. Hitting some water early here in the morning. I'm going to start with my rant. Will Smith. Come on, man. Walks up on stage and just clobbers Chris Rock. Speaking of psychology, got some mental issues there. Come on, Will. You're a better guy. He's a comedian. He's doing his job. You have to go up on stage and clobber him. How do you think the rest of society is going to handle their problems now, Will? Man, Will Smith, get it together. Go to therapy. Okay, maybe go to some anger management courses. Unbelievable. But the memes have been great. Boy, it's produced some great memes. Man, so for everything that bad happens, society ends up making it funny, and we all send memes to each other. I guess that's the great part about this particular society. All right, so in the 4 a.m. hour, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about what you need to do with your witnesses within 24 hours of testimony, whether it be deposition, trial testimony. A mistake I see is doing a lot of stuff last minute, particularly the day before, the morning of, and that's where your witness needs to rest. They need to focus. Going over exhibits, doing mock questioning within that last 24 hours is just a really bad idea. They need to sleep. They need to be energized. They need to focus on fitness, nutrition, mental focus. And so in the weeks approaching testimony, that's when you want to do your really heavy lifting. But you got to keep them focused, particularly the morning of. And there's two things I'm going to talk to you about today on what you need to do, which we just accomplished up in the Northeast. I'm not going to give you the name of the case, the law firm, because it's still pending. But we had 7 witnesses get deposed in a very high exposure case. And we did the same thing with every one of them. And they all were highly effective in their testimony. And they walked out of the depositions actually saying, wow, the training was tougher than the actual deposition. And that's what you want to hear. You need to have some kind of go-to. This is what a coach does, whether it be a professional coach, college coach, let's say in football or basketball. They got a whiteboard. And before the game, they have 3 or 4 main points that they want to go over with the team. They're not going over the playbook, right before the game. They're going over the key points. What do we want to accomplish here? What's our strategy? And that's what we do with these witnesses. And I'm going to share those with you today because I fully believe them. They're not exactly politically correct because the language that the attorney used for these, I think is hilarious. But, these witnesses went through a full training program. Multiple days of it. But again, within 24 hours, you can't be doing this stuff. You got to back off. You got to let them rest, let them focus. But there's just key bullet points that we need them to focus on. And so in the attorney's office, before all these depositions, we had a whiteboard and we had 4 things listed on the whiteboard. The 4 things that the coach was putting up there for our team of witnesses. And number 1, control the pace. It's the absolute first thing that the witness has to do. This particular questioner that the witness is going up against, witnesses we're going up against, fast pace. And that's where witnesses get in trouble. They go too fast. When you go fast, you minimize your cognition, make a lot of unforced errors. And controlling the pace is absolutely the number 1 step for any witness. It'll make the plaintiff attorney nuts because they want to control the pace. But for the witness to get in that chair, be able to take their time after a question, 2 to 5 seconds, depending on the sophistication of the question, absolutely essential to success. And it's going to increase the accuracy of answers. It's also going to keep the emotions lower. It's going to keep anxiety lower. Controlling the pace. Slower is better. So it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act. You don't want to go too slow because that looks that looks terrible. But controlling that pace, absolutely number one. So that was the first thing on the board. Number two on the board. This is what the attorney came up with, but it's part of my training. I just say it differently. Number two on the board was, you better be goddamn sure. You better be goddamn sure that you know what you're talking about, that you have a memory of what you're talking about. Do not take any guesses. Before you say the word yes or I agree, you better be goddamn sure. Because if you're 85% sure and you agree, now it's 100% true. And and witnesses are notorious for guessing. I'm currently in Dallas right now. As you can see, my hotel room background. Yesterday, we worked with a 30B6 witness, and we're practicing some mock questions. And something became apparent to me, so I took a time out and I looked at the witness and I said, "Do you have any earthly idea what you're talking about?" And he looked right at me and he goes, "No." I'm like, "Then what the hell are you doing?" "Oh, I don't know. I got to come up with something." "No, you need to do your homework." Nice thing about 30B6 is you can educate them. Rule number two, you better be goddamn sure. Because if you just start agreeing with things, we're going to have inconsistent testimony across witnesses. And you're also going to start agreeing to plaintiff themes, which is not good. So witnesses, do your homework. You got to be sure before you say yes. And again, the purpose of these bullet points is to keep this simple. The training like you can't just tell them these bullet points and expect them to do well. No, they've gone through days and days and days of very advanced training. My training program, a lot of mock questioning. This is just to keep them focused in that 24 hours before. Remember, you don't want to be pounding them with information in that last 24 hours. They need to rest. They need to have a little fun. They need to be energized when they show up that morning, not overworked and exhausted. Number three, don't volunteer information. Don't try to win the case. Don't give long, lengthy answers. Okay. And that's what happens when witnesses start getting talky. They start volunteering information. The plaintiff attorney then drives a truck through that door that you just opened, and then subsequently beats your witness over the head repeatedly with that extra information. Precision. Really going to focus on precision. Okay, number four. I think this is my favorite of all of them. Use periods. Use periods, not commas. Okay, enough of this pivoting. Yeah, but. God, pivoting just costs millions and millions of dollars in litigation. Witnesses trying to argue. Witnesses not acknowledging basic facts of the case because they don't like them, and they pivot to a different area and start talking. It looks terrible, it sounds terrible, and most importantly, which these pivoting people, they don't, because they don't do jury research like I do. The jurors hate it. It comes across as defensive, evasive, argumentative. And for a witness to sustain that over hours and hours, absolutely impossible, particularly fact witnesses. It's impossible. They're going to say something stupid, then their answers start getting longer, and then they keep arguing some more. And you know what you're doing? You're taking the bait. That's exactly what the plaintiff attorney wants. They want commas. They want but. Yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. They want that because it fuels the counterattack, folks. It fuels it. If a concrete fact is identified in a question, the answer is yes, that's true, period. That is correct, period. I agree, period. If I ever get elected to public office, the first thing I'm going to do is eliminate the comma in English language, because everything that comes after a comma is bad. Okay. And then if a blame question comes up, I disagree, period. Okay. Force that questioner into why not, how comes. That's where you want to be, because then the attack is off. You start doing yeah, but, boy, you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble quick. We're going to have that, what we call amygdala hijack. That fight or flight is going to come in, and your witness is going to say all kinds of crazy stuff. Now, yeah, if you have an expert witness that's testified 125 times, can they do it? Perhaps. Still don't think it looks good. But your key fact witnesses, particularly your corporate folks, corporate rep, pivoting is bad. No pivoting. So let's review our list. Control the pace. Got to go slow and not do not fall into the speed trap. Number 2, you better be goddamn sure. Know what you know. Remember what you remember. If you don't remember, you don't know. The answer is, I don't remember. I don't know. No educated guessing. And don't feel bad about not knowing. That's the issue. People feel bad about not knowing. We're not going to volunteer information and have it used against us down the road. And number 4, periods, no commas. Federal ban on the technique of pivoting, banning it. So if I get elected, I'm also going to ban pivoting too, by the way. It's a terrible practice. I know who came up with this. I'm not telling you who it is, but I'm just telling you they're dead wrong. Again, the most important part, the jurors can't stand it. They can't stand it. And who are you trying to impress? The jury, right? There's nothing persuasive about pivoting. It's evasive, it's defensive, it's argumentative. We don't need that. So those are our 4 things, and what I recommend. And you make your 4, and your 4 may be different, or some of these may be the same, but put them on a whiteboard, put them on a large pad, and you're going to go over these issues with your witness in that 24 hours, particularly the morning of, and get them focused. Get them. Do not be going over case documents, doing practice questions in that last 24 hours. Don't do it, or particularly the morning of. Your witness is going to need all the energy that they can possibly have. Let them rest, build their confidence, work on them mentally, emotionally, get them focused. No heavy lifting in that last 24 hours. All right. Now, part 2 of this podcast is the breaks. We talked about the whole concept of cognitive fatigue. Your witnesses need breaks every 45 minutes. This 1 hour rule is the dumbest thing in the world. I just published this paper, scientifically proved. That brain starts breaking down. Attention, concentration, about 35, 40 minutes. Starts breaking down for everybody. So you got to get that break in at the 45-minute mark. Do not extend to an hour and 15 minutes. Then you're going to get these fatigue based mistakes. But what to do during the breaks? A break has to be an actual break. Number 1, no cell phone. No cell phones. If your witness is on their phone, looking at emails, listening to voicemails, returning calls, that's not a break. Phone goes away, phone is off. Okay. Now, obviously, during breaks, need to use the restroom. That's a good idea. Okay. Have them use the restroom. Number 2, hydrate. Hydrate. Get some water. Don't think caffeine's I'm not a big guy. I'm not big on pumping down caffeine all day. I don't think that's a good thing. Get you jittery, increases anxiety. And that's not where we want our witnesses. Water's good. Nothing really sugary. Stay away from the sodas. You don't want your witness, belching for the next hour and a half, right? A videotape. Water, vitamin water, smart water is good. Have them hydrate. Another thing, we had a little station set up for our witnesses. It was a table with anything they could possibly need. So we had some drinks available, snacks. Have snacks. protein-based snacks, not a lot of carbs, because you're going to go into carb sleepiness, right? In the afternoon. Protein-based snacks, right? Your witness is going to get hungry, but avoid the comfort food, right? We don't want your witness sleepy. So something healthy, but again, more on the protein side of this. And then also have other things there, maybe some, obviously you don't want your witnesses going into the deposition, chewing gum or sucking on candy or whatever. But if they need a little something during the break, I think that's fine. I think that's absolutely fine. But we had a table. I mean, we had ibuprofen, we had aspirin, we had Rolaids. The attorney brought in Q-tips. Not really sure where he was going there, but I mean, toothpicks. I mean, anything you possibly think you would need. We had there to make the witnesses comfortable and to really get them truly rested during breaks. Now, I'm a big fan, if it's possible. Now, we were in a high rise, so getting outside to get fresh air really was not really practical, because the break would have been too long, because you have to go downstairs, get off an elevator on floor 5, then take another elevator to get to the lobby, go outside of security. By the time you get back, you have to go back through security. It just would have taken too long. But if it's possible to get your witness outside, is the one thing I tell you, particularly in office buildings, if you have like fluorescent lights, the lighting in the building will melt your brain. It'll melt your brain. So I'd say get the witness. They absolutely have to leave the deposition room. At the very least, get back to your office or a different office where you have some setup to support them. Don't talk about the case. Remember, don't prep your witness during the breaks. They need a break. They're gonna be tired, and they need to be rested before they back in. So I think another kind of error I see is coaching up the witness. You can give some basic feedback. Hey, make sure you can go over the 4 things. Here's your 4 things. But other than that, no deep conversations about the case, because they're really not. You're actually wearing them down even more. So I wanted to share that with you. We've never talked about that on the podcast. I don't think I've talked about this during a speech. Is, what are you doing with your witness 24 hours before either trial or deposition, right? And then what are you doing during these breaks? How are you going to maximize cognition? How are you going to keep them rested and restored? Well, I just went over things that you can do, because the last thing you want to do is make them more tired, make them more stressed, and wear them down. We want a fresh witness that can think straight, that can focus, and that will have the ability to have endurance over the day. Well, no rant today. I'll tell you why. This is the Final Four edition, baby, and I'm wearing it right now. The Tar Heels made it to the Final Four. Happiest guy in the world. Unfortunately, we're facing the evil empire again. Duke, Carolina, Part 3. It's Friday. This game is tomorrow. I'm already emotionally exhausted. I have no idea how I'm going to handle this mentally. A loss, I don't know how I'm going to. If we win, I don't know how to handle that emotionally. I'm upset just thinking about it either way. I can't believe the universe brought us here, because it's never happened before. But then again, look what's happened over the last 2 years in this country. A lot of things that you never thought would happen. So now it's like Armageddon. Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Carolina 4-point dogs. I love we get to wear the Carolina blue, bright Carolina blue. I love it. B, I like I think all the pressure's on Duke. So by the time we do the next podcast, we will know what has happened. Hopefully I'll still be alive, physically, mentally. It's a huge drain, but you gotta love March Madness. You gotta love the Final Four. And let's hope the Tar Heels can pull off the unthinkable, because no one's picking Carolina. Nobody. The whole world's picking Duke. I love it. And got one more day of witness prep here in Dallas, and then tomorrow it's just on pins and needles all day. So go Tar Heels. Thank you for participating again in the Litigation Psychology Podcast, brought to you by Courtroom Sciences. We love doing this podcast. We hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. Bye.